Monday, and welcome to another episode of the Cattle USA Daily Podcast. I am your host, Lauren Moylan, and today we are talking about a topic that is one I love to chat about. We're talking about having conversations with consumers. And I'm sure a lot of you are listening to this and you're like, I don't know about this. And that's okay. Like, that is totally okay. We're going to talk about a lot of different things in this episode. We're going to talk about how to talk to consumers, opportunities where you can talk to consumers, some next steps for you, and then also some next steps that if you are one of those people and you're like, oh, I don't know about this, I don't really want to go have these conversations, some next steps for you as well. Some next steps that aren't maybe as daunting, but still taking that one step forward, one day at a time, things like that. So I want to start out by talking a little bit about why we need to do this. So we live in a world that I'm sure all of you know. If you are a producer in agriculture, you understand that we live in a world that is full of misinformation. And in an age of social media, in a time that misinformation can run rampant very quickly and no one knows the better. Consumers don't know the better. Things like that. It can be really, really hard to advocate for agriculture. And it can be scary to advocate for agriculture sometimes, especially on topics that are very emotional, topics that are very scientific, or topics that consumers just really, really care about. But there is an upside. We live in a day and age where consumers want to know where their food comes from. They really, really care how an animal was raised, how the practices that it was raised with. They care about animal welfare. They care about their environment, which are all great things. We care about all of those things too. And so, as producers, we have an opportunity to bridge that gap, to talk to these consumers and be like, hey, I care about the same things that you do. I want to have a conversation with you. Would you be willing to sit down and talk to me about this? Or it doesn't have to be that formal. It can literally just be opening yourself up to having conversations every single day with people. We need more people in agriculture who are willing to just make connections with people, who are willing to just have conversations when an opportunity presents itself. If I'm being frank and I'm being honest, we have a lot of really great advocates for agriculture. We have a lot of people that take to social media, take to the main stages, take on like big news outlets and go have these amazing conversations. And that's amazing. But those people aren't the ones that are going to make the change. The people that are going to make the real change are those everyday producers that don't think that they have anything special, but they have a relationship with consumers. They have a relationship with people in their community, and they're willing to get out of their comfort zone and talk to people about agriculture. Those are the people that are going to actually make a real change in having these conversations. And I truly believe that every single one of you listening has an opportunity to do so, has a voice to do so, has a platform to do so. And I don't mean a social media platform. I just mean a community and a network platform to do so. I don't care if you live in the middle of BFE and you have a town population of 100. You still have an opportunity to share your story, share about agriculture, and connect with consumers. Because I guarantee you, in that population of 100, not every single one of those 100 are directly involved in agriculture. Or maybe you go to the city once a month. There's opportunities there too. It can be really scary. I am not going to tell you that it is the easiest thing in the world to have a conversation with consumers. I will say that it is so worth it in the end. When you create a relationship with a consumer that actually just wants to know, like they're just curious about agriculture and they want to know more, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Like it is truly so fun to have friends and people that aren't directly involved in agriculture to talk to you about ag topics. Be like, they can almost be my voice for the consumer population, and I can be their voice for the agricultural population. And the dynamic of a relationship that comes from that is so, so rewarding. I love nothing more than when my friends who are consumers that aren't directly involved in agriculture see something in the news, see something on social media, something wherever they see it or hear it, and they come to me and ask me a question about it. They come to me and they're like, hey, I saw this animal welfare thing in the news. What's up with that? Or, hey, what's this thing about the farm bill? Or, hey, I heard that cow farts are killing our planet. Can you explain? There is nothing more rewarding than being that touch point and being that person for a consumer. It doesn't have to be this big fancy social media platform. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. It can literally just be you're creating connections with people outside of your normal network. And, for the introverts out there, that can be a little terrifying. And for all of you out there that are looking at this and saying, oh, nope, I'm out, I'm clocking out. I'm not about this. I'm just going to stay in my little hobbit hole. I encourage you to get out of your comfort zone. Get over your damn self and get out of your comfort zone. Because it's not the people on the main stages that are going to change the waves of agriculture. It's everyday people. Everyday people becoming advocates for agriculture. We are only 2% of the population, y'all. 2% of the population in the United States is directly involved in production agriculture. Less than that, actually. I think it's like 1.9. Think about how impactful it can be if we have consumers standing up for agriculture. If we have people out there that every single one of you has had a conversation with that then says, no, that's not how it's done. I have a friend, I have a connection that is a rancher. And we actually talked about animal welfare yesterday. Can I share with you what me and my rancher friend had a conversation about animal welfare? And then they're touching their friend groups. And then their friend groups are talking to more people. And then we have an informed consumer population that we didn't before. Or at the very least, we have a consumer population that is willing and open to asking questions and willing and open to have these conversations. That is another area that I know a lot of people are hesitant about. They don't want to get in a screaming match with a consumer. They don't want to be the person that gets yelled at in the grocery store. And I wish I could say that it's never going to happen. But you might encounter that. And in those situations, it is not your responsibility to sit down and have that conversation. If you are approached by someone that absolutely is not open to having a civil adult conversation with you, let it be. Just let it be. And that's okay. You will find someone who will be. And that's where it's your responsibility. The person that is willing to sit down and have a conversation with you or just talk about something with you, that is where your story comes in. Your knowledge comes in. All of that stuff. And that gets me into what I want to talk about next. It's not about the data. It is not about the data, the statistics, the science, all of that stuff. I can promise you, if you sit down and have a conversation with someone about greenhouse gas and you tell them all of the stats and all of the science and all of that stuff, good for you about being informed. Proud of you for that. But that consumer is not going to remember that conversation. They are not going to remember those statistics. They are, however, going to remember you and your story and how you made them feel. So be the person that lets these people be heard. Let them be seen. Let them ask questions. Be that person that is excited to have these conversations. And within those conversations, I encourage every single one of you to refine your story. Figure out what your story is. For me, I'm a 5th generation rancher from Northeast Kansas. I have a deep passion for the cattle industry and a deep love for having conversations with people within and without the industry, outside of the industry. You guys know what I meant. outside of the industry. Refine your story. Mine, I could go on for hours about my story and what that looks like and just my love and passion and talk to people about my personal experiences. So I encourage you all to kind of figure out what your story is. Figure out your 30-second elevator pitch for who you are, what you do, all of the things like that. Because a consumer is going to remember that. They're going to remember those personal aspects of a conversation with them. They're not going to remember the statistics and you spewing numbers out at them or things like that. It is important to know those, yes. But at the end of the day, you don't need to be the scientist in these situations. You don't need to be the person that knows everything. And that's okay. That's okay to not know everything. That gets me into another point. It's okay to say, I don't know. It is okay in a conversation for someone to ask you a question and you look at them in the eye and say, I don't know that answer, but I'm going to go find out for you. I'm going to go talk to my friend down the road that has a row crop farm and we'll know that topic about corn. Cool. It's okay to not have that answer. Or you're going to go find it out yourself, research, talk to other advocates, things like that. It is okay to say, I don't know. People are not going to remember the statistics. They are going to remember you and how you made them feel in that conversation. It is not your job to know every single detail, every single statistic. It's just your job to be willing and open to sharing. This is where I want to talk about how you can kind of do this. So whether it be in a grocery store aisle, on a main stage platform, in a conversation around the dinner table, at a family gathering, whatever it may be, you have a role and an opportunity as a rancher, as a person involved in agriculture, to share and to be that person that people come to. So here are some different ways, different options that it might look like for you. For those introverts out there, I hear you, I see you. I'm not one, but I know you're out there and I know you're listening to this saying, I will not be walking up to someone in a grocery store and asking them to talk to me about agriculture. Not happening. That's fine. That is totally fine. Not everyone has to do that exactly. What I do encourage you to do is look at your current network. Are you involved in a church? Are you involved in different community organizations? Are you going to work every day with people that might not be directly involved in agriculture? What does your just community and world look like? And then identify areas that there are people that might not know about agriculture, aren't directly involved every single day, and open up those conversations. I love nothing more than going to my life group and being surrounded by, it's about 50-50. About 50% of us are involved in agriculture and about 50% of us aren't. And having conversations and talking about current topics. We had a great conversation about, well, great is maybe a little bit of a loose term. We had a good conversation about raw milk a few weeks ago and the benefits and downsides and different things like that. I shared my personal opinions. Other people shared theirs. And you know what? It was just a great conversation. At the end of it, did I convince everyone of my personal beliefs on it? Absolutely not. And that's okay. That is okay. But we were able to have some really good conversations. Now, for people that are willing to get a little bit further outside of their comfort zone, I want to encourage you to look outside of your current networks and where are the places that you frequent? Do you go to the gym? Do you go to the grocery store? Do you go, where are the places that you frequent? Whether it be a restaurant or a grocery store, I guarantee you every single one of you listening to this goes somewhere outside of your own home in your own town, every once in a while. I want you to be open in those situations to talking about certain things. Whether you're at a grocery store and you see a consumer looking at the beef aisle and they look like they might need some help on stuff, I hope you go up to them and you ask if you can tell them about the different cuts of meat or if they have any questions or, hey, can I explain this grading system? I hope that you're that person for them. If you're in a restaurant and you're ordering a steak and the server does not understand or know the different cuts of steak and where they come from, I hope that you take 5 seconds and you're like, hey, I'd love to tell you where a ribeye comes from. That way you can tell more people because I guarantee you, a lot of people, if you're talking to a server, they're talking to a lot of people about steaks sometimes if it's a steakhouse. So be that person. Get out of your comfort zone. Be willing to share. It is not your job to change the world with your story. It is, however, your job to be willing and open to having these conversations. It is your job to get out of your own comfort zone and get out of your own damn way and be willing to advocate for agriculture where you're at. Every single one of you listening to this has a story, has a voice, has a community that you can tap into and that you can develop and grow. It's not the thousands that you need to worry about. It's that one person. Find that one person because they're all there. I promise you. It is there. They want to hear from you. Now, if you are listening to this and you are like, this was great, Lauren, but this was only like 15 minutes of you talking about this. I still feel super nervous, super uncomfortable, all of these things. That is fine. I want to encourage you. That is normal. That is fine. Part of getting out of your comfort zone is understanding that growth is going to be scary. But that's how you know you're growing, because you're getting out of your comfort zone in that aspect. So, some practical ways that you guys can continue to develop and grow in this aspect. I want you to get in touch with your local extension offices and your local farm bureaus. They want to hear from you so badly. I guarantee you, they want to have local ranchers and agriculturalists come in and talk to them and say, hey, I want to talk to more consumers, but I don't know where to start. Or just, I want to be more educated on topics. They would love to talk to you. So go get in contact with your local organizations, whether it be Extension, Farm Bureau, your USDA offices, whatever that looks like, and just get in touch with them and start a relationship with those companies and corporations. Outside of that, stay plugged into the news. I know. Stay with me, please. The news can be really, really depressing and really not fun these days. I get it. I had to take like a news hiatus for a few weeks one time. It's not fun to be involved in all the time. Take as much as you can, absorb as much as you can. Sometimes it's okay to just be involved and know what's going on in ag news. Just get to your ag news outlets. Go figure out what's happening there. If you can take a little bit more, get into your national news outlets. See what people are talking about there. You don't need to be plugged in to what's happening all the time, but I encourage you to just have a good grasp and an understanding on what is happening. My next encouragement is, like I said earlier, just get out of your own dang way. Be willing to be uncomfortable. Be willing to mess up. Be willing to have a conversation not go great, because they're not all going to be perfect. They aren't. Unfortunately, I wish I could say that they were all going to be perfect, but they're not going to be. Be willing to get out of your own dang way. It's not the thousands that are going to change the world. It's up to us. It's up to everyday people like us to go out and have these conversations and be willing to open these doors for new relationships. I could talk on this for hours, and I know a lot of other people could too. So if you heard those things that I just talked about and you're like, great, I just have a few questions, please, my DMs are always open. Reach out to me. I would love to talk. I would love to chat more, answer any questions that you guys have, just give you some words of encouragement, whatever it may be. I'm here for you. And I am just so grateful for this amazing community that we are building. Every single one of you have just been amazing to work with. And if you are listening to this on the day that it releases on Monday, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here from the start. We appreciate you so much. And just thank you for being a fan and a supporter. If you loved today's episode, please go down to the show notes, go to wherever your podcast platform is being housed at, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify or Apple or iHeartRadio or wherever it's at, and leave us a rating. And if you're feeling a little extra, leave us a review too. We would really appreciate it. And it just helps us grow in these new stages of this next thing. So Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your Monday, and we will talk with you guys more tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.